One. Ladies and gentlemen, the long awaited, highly anticipated, when I was a young youth, I was thinking, David and I were going to become buddies. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. We have David Brcic on the line. All right.
How we doing, Kevin?
All right, all right. Yeah. I'm a follower on Facebook, and in the 1970s, they got a Facebook group, and you're always in it. And I interviewed the guy, a real nice fella from the old Washington Post, he says. And so the upshot of the thing is that this guy had you all over the magazines today. You were all in, and I always get a thrill seeing you and stuff. But then I read a post of you because of Don Popovic passing
Yeah.
away, and of all the guys I read, eulogy wise and condolences, yours was really something. And I would like to be able to offer you the time to be able to say a few words about what Don Popovic meant to you in the game of soccer.
Yeah, well, sure. He meant a lot to the game of soccer. There's no doubt about that. We can talk about that a little bit more later, like what he's done here in St. Louis, with Lou Fuse, starting with two teams way back when, after he was done coaching, is remarkable in itself.
Yeah.
And he did it a lot himself. I mean, I know he had a lot of support from the Fuse family, but it was his vision and his concept and his hard work that put it all together. But for me personally, I didn't know Don Popovic. Of course, I played against him outdoor and then again indoor. And after the Cosmos folded in March of '85, Wichita picked me up, and then I think Mike Dollar was the other keeper there in Wichita. And after the season, they let us both go. And I thought it was kind of the end of my career. Didn't really know what was going to happen. And I got a call from Don Popovic out of the blue. And he goes, "I want you to be my goalkeeper in Pittsburgh." He had just got the job in Pittsburgh. And I'm like, "Pops, you've got Chris Sobieski, who was an all-star last year, and Joe Papaleo, who's like a favorite there because he was born and raised in Pittsburgh." I go, "You really think that's going to work out?" He goes, "No, please, 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 just come for one day.
Wow.
Just come for one day." And I came for a one-day tryout, and at the end of the day, they traded Chris Sobieski and signed me. So he, as I was telling you a little bit earlier, Pops knew what he wanted, especially when it came to players. And you can tell by his track record, he had a lot of very strong players that played for him over the years, particularly during his indoor era. So he knew what he wanted. He knew talent, and he was going to do whatever he could to make sure that the ownership groups that he had were able to get the players that he wanted. And that was probably the best, most exciting season that I ever had. That 1 year in Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, it was only 1 year. With the club folded the team after that 1 year, but. Then time went on. I played a couple of years in LA, played a year in Kansas City, and then here comes the St. Louis Storm. So, and I knew that phone call was coming.
Wow.
I didn't have to guess. I knew that phone call was coming, and I had an enjoyable year. I told him I would play for 1 year, and I did, and we had a great season. He was a unique man. Anybody who played for him or knew him pretty well. He was a different character, and he was very strong in certain aspects and not so in others. But he always played to his strengths, and he was a very demanding coach. Not very tactical. Anybody who played for him would know that he wasn't particularly tactful, but tactical. But like I said, he would bring the best players that he thought he could assemble, and then pretty much just said, "You guys go out there and win games for me." And and we tried our best to do that. So, and if we won, he was happy, and if we lost, he was not a happy man. So, but that was pretty much his, on the professional side, that was pretty much his coaching style. On the youth side, I heard wonderful things about him. Completely different approach, I think, when he got into youth soccer. So, of course, I obviously never played for him at that level, but I've always heard wonderful things. And like I was saying earlier, what he did in developing the Lufuse Soccer Club, that club started with just Lou's two boys. There were just two teams initially.
Holy cow!
And of course, Pops called me up and said, "We need uniforms," and I said, "Well, I think we can take care of you, Pops." And that relationship, still going on today, believe it or not.
Wow.
So, he would always try to. He'd always do his thing and threaten me he was going to go somewhere else if I didn't give him the best price. But he was very loyal. He was very loyal to his players, and he expected the loyalty in return, which was great. So, I was telling you earlier, I was probably one of quite a few players who played for him more than once, because he was in Rochester for years. In the NASL, and then with the New York Arrows. And wait a minute, no, there was a stint in San Jose too. I forgot, outdoor in the NASL, and then he went to the Arrows and won so many championships there. With again a great lineup that he had there that he put together. But I really think his proudest achievement was really the Lufuse Soccer Club. I really do.
Wow.
He would come into the shop sometimes with the little black book and say, this is what I did, this is how much money I borrowed, and this is what we paid off, and we built this, and we did this. He was so proud, I think, of what he accomplished there. And you just go look at that complex and everything. And obviously they've made enhancements, since he's not been directly with the club, but the bones are all his. He did that, and he was very proud of it.
Wow. So that, under full disclosure, that gives why I had that feeling, is that little white house that was there when it first started. And you could see that somebody was giving a lot of love to this Atlanta man, because you drive by there and there's always something, and always, moving forward, doing a new deal here, there, everywhere. It was really something. You could feel the love.
Yeah. He was fully engaged, and he absolutely loved it, and very proud of it at the same time.
And also, Terry Minkler played with him in Kansas City for the Kansas City Spurs.
Wow.
Yeah. Minkler graduated from Rockhurst, so hometown talent, and him and he was the chauffeur for Don Popovic to go around the high schools and give clinics. Yeah, so they had a good relationship.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that until just recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he came back here to St. Louis after he was done coaching professionally. He married. It was funny because my wife always tells me every time he would see my wife Cindy, he would say, "You girls from St. Louis, blah blah blah," because Connie, of course, was from St. Louis, his wife, which is why I'm sure he settled back here when he was all done.
Yeah, he was with the Stars here, number 7, Dragan Popovic, going up and down the line, man. I mean, I remember, I don't know if it was rightly or I was hoping, but him going down the sideline juggling the ball. off his thighs, the legs, everything, And he was such a little guy that he would go underneath the armpits of those big forwards.
Yeah, I think I was a little young. I really don't recall watching him play, but didn't he coach at the Stars for a while too?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge. Okay.
It was Casey Frankowicz.
Yeah, Casey. I remember that era. Okay. Yeah, when Casey was the coach. Yeah.
But we'll meet up with somebody who Texas or or see us on the street. Yeah, he did. He'll give, so we'll find out what Whale Certified tells us,
All righty.
the fans. But I'm here to tell you, anybody that's everybody, if you're 68, well, say 60, 70 to 67, if you don't know David Brcic, and if you wouldn't agree with me, there's something wrong with you. Is that here it is. Here it is. David Brcic, you're now in the Whale Certified Hall of Affinity. Yeah, be one of the best St. Louis players on and off the field. You were such an ambassador for the position and for the game. Well done, lad.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was always proud to be from St. Louis. I can assure you that.
Oh yeah, and it had to be something. Can you peel back the onion? Because you mentioned Pittsburgh, and with Don, you guys were in the bottom of the table, but you were the all-star and possibly the goalkeeper of merit around town. I mean, it must have been really bad had it not been for you to play.
I don't think we were on the bottom, but we did miss the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
yeah, we weren't on the bottom. We had a tough time scoring goals. It was interesting. So I had a very interesting contract where I got bonuses for every game I gave up 3 goals or less. And I think back then in the MISL, I mean, if your goal against average was 4 or under, that was really good,
Oh yeah.
And I think we won 18 or 19 games that year. And if I remember correctly, because I could count my bonuses, if we won 19 games, 18 of them I gave up 3 goals or less. So,
wow.
yeah, and I think I was defensive player of the week like 5 or 6 times. And,
Nice.
yeah, so it was a great season for me. Well, Pops was very demanding, and he really, if you were new to him, which I was, but some players became very intimidated by him, and it just had a more difficult time. But for me, his approach, it was a little gruff. Without a doubt, but it worked for me. I liked somebody to push me and demand, to win or to perform. So it was a great season for me, a very memorable season for me, and I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I enjoyed Pittsburgh too. I really liked the town itself, but it's unfortunate that the ownership decided to to fold the club after the year. I think what was happening, believe it or not, is our general manager was in line to be the what do you call it, the league commissioner. And,
wow.
And they ended up voting the guy from Wichita, and they literally, after our last game of the season, he walked into this is a funny story. He walked into our locker room at the what the hell is the name of the arena? Forget. And walked in and said that this league's going nowhere with that cowboy in charge, from Wichita, and we're going to fold the team. And I'm like, whoa. And that's literally how it happened. They just made a decision that they didn't think the league future was in good hands with the new commissioner, and we were owned by the DeBartolo family, same family that owned the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
And I think they were huge mall developers at that time. And,
Right.
And they pulled the plug on us. I went, whoa, that's not cool. But that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah. Wow. And you were there with the Cosmos, and you did the first indoor season that they had. And I just always wanted to ask you about.
Yeah, that was interesting. So I think 1980, if I'm correct, the NASL experimented with a indoor season, and it was interesting. I think our very first game, and Giorgio Canali was playing. I think Carlos Alberto was playing. Johan Nieskens was playing, but Franz Beckenbauer didn't play, and I can't remember if Bogey played or not. But the first game we played the Chicago Sting, and I think we won 15-10, and Giorgio scored like 9 goals.
Yeah.
And we're thinking, oh, this is going to be great. We are so good. Well, that was the highlight of the season. Let me put it that way. So we didn't play indoor in '81, and I don't remember '82. But then I think in '83 or '84, then we, because the NASL had started to lose some teams, and I think 6 NASL teams, and I probably could name most of them, but I don't remember all of them. And we joined the MISL for the winter season. So that was my first full kind of indoor season, and then we folded in the middle of the. I think about 3/4 of the way through the '85 season is when we folded, and Wichita picked me up, and then, like I said earlier, then they let myself and Mike Dollar go, and I got the call from Pops.
Yeah.
So, I guess everything happens for a reason, right?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, I tell you, when you think you're down, just look up. There's the only way to look up.
Look forward or look up. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, man. But I got to ask you again, point blank, the outdoor. For me, you had to be such a magnificent athlete to say, hey, man, I'm going to play on one of the best teams in the history of soccer. And I may not get too many minutes, but I'll be looking like I'm the scorer. And you were the United States national goalkeeper. I mean, can you give us a little insight of how all that happened?
Well, let's see. So I was at St. Louis University my first year. I graduated high school in '76. So I guess that would have been so '77 was the first year with the St. Louis U, and then I went on a trip with a U.S. U18. We went to, I think, qualify for the Junior World Cup, so it was a CONCACAF event. And on the way home, a gentleman named Ray Klavecka was our coach at that time, and he had just gotten the job. We didn't realize that. He had just gotten a job with the New York Cosmos for youth development. And Ricky Davis and I were on that team, and on the flight back, he asked us both to come to the back of the plane and said that we'd like to sign you with the New York Cosmos. And at that time, there was no undergraduate draft. So we were basically free to go without having to put our name in a draft. I think after that, they instituted an undergraduate draft so that, a team just couldn't approach a college player and say, come with us, I signed an amateur contract. My first, I was going to play in the '80 Olympics, which we did qualify for. Unfortunately, we got, boycotted. I mean, we boycotted. We didn't get boycotted.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter boycotted the '80 Olympics, and and then, fortunate enough, they changed it to professional in '84. I got to represent the U.S. in the '84 Olympics in Los Angeles. But yeah, my time in the Cosmos, as far as playing, and that was mixed. It was good early. It was good in the middle. I just had really two really difficult years when a guy named Hennes Weisweiler, who came over, he was coaching Cologne, I think, in Germany, and we hired him, and he was very stringent about who played and when they played. I mean, and literally, if you weren't in the starting 11, you really weren't going to see the field. I mean, it was, he never put somebody in because they deserved it. It was his starting lineup, and it was a difficult 2 years with Hennes Weisweiler. But then he left, and Professor Mazzei came back, and I got to play some more. So it was good. I was never the first keeper there. Hubert Berkemeyer was an all-star almost every year. I was young when I got there. I was 19 years old, and I had actually won the starting position in my second year. And as the story goes, Tommy Werblin, our general manager, tells me the story that they I was 20 years old at the time, and they went around to, I think, Carlos and Franz and Giorgio and maybe some other players, and basically the question was, is David too young? Is he ready? Is he too young? And some said yes, and some said maybe not. And anyway, they went out and got Hubert Berkemeyer, and so a good part of my time there, I played behind him. I was fortunate. I got to play a lot of the Transatlantic Challenge Cup games and some playoff games. And, in certain years I would play maybe, 7 or 8 of the 30 games, But like I said, those 2 years with Hennes Weisfeld, I don't think I saw the field. So that was very disappointing. I asked to be traded multiple times, and they wouldn't trade me. And that kind of hurt me with the national team. I kind of lost my role as a starting keeper for the national team because I wasn't playing on a regular basis, which was disappointing. But then I hired Alkis Panagoulias, the Greek coach, to handle that '84 team, and he selected me, to be the goalkeeper for the '84 Olympic team, which was kind of the honor of my life. So.
Wow.
Like any career, there's ups and downs, and there's things you wish were different. But, the overall experience with 8 years with the New York Cosmos, probably obviously the best organization without a doubt in the North American Soccer League, and playing with some of the greatest players in the world that treated us respectfully. And it was a wonderful 8-year experience. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, man. Well, to tell you, man, I've been an admirer of yours from the get-go, from days out at Abidjan with the Junior Cup with the Imos and everything. Yeah, and then what you did and had to endure and overcome. And I was told when a buddy of mine told me that the game exposes character, you were the first guy I thought of that did that, because you have sterling character about yourself. And I don't know, but I suspect your brother Gary's got the same. Well, that's good for a different podcast. But I needed to say to you about the boycott. A couple of the guys I know that were on that team, that is a very sore subject, and it's like an old military wound, a bullet. Still got a bullet in my shoulder, and it goes off when I go through a metal detector. But can you want me to just pass by that, or you want to say anything about any of that?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously disappointing. Myself and like Ricky Davis and a bunch of other players had, purposely signed amateur contracts to play in the '80 Olympics. And it was, I think, the first time the U.S., that we had qualified, again to play. And you got to remember, this is back when there was only 16 teams. It wasn't 32 teams that qualified or nothing like that. It was the old 16 teams, one from CONCACAF, that was it, and it's kind of a long story, but, we had actually lost to Mexico twice, but it was still supposed to be amateur, and they pitted us up against a full first division Mexican team after we had beaten them in the CONCACAF games and the Pan American games, and they knew that they were going to have trouble getting past us. And they ended up, putting us up against a full first division Mexican team, not top of the charts, but we lost both those games. And believe it or not, our federation actually protested, which took about 2 seconds to figure out that we were playing a full professional team, and we ended up qualifying. And so. Yeah, it was an honor to do that and to qualify, and then to find out that we weren't going to go. But then thinking that I was never going to play in the Olympics, and then 4 years later, they changed things around. So, to allow professionals. So, so it kind of made up for it. Made up for it.
Yeah. Man. You weren't a military lad, but you must have stood up at attention a little bit stronger in the back when the national anthem was played, huh?
Without a doubt. Yeah, there's probably nothing better to have have the USA on your chest and then playing the national anthem. I think I just read something today on that 70 soccer thing that on Facebook that at that time we had the first game we played in the Olympics was at Stanford Stadium, and we had 78,300 and something people. And according to what they posted today, that was the largest soccer crowd in the United States at that time. So because we had some big crowds at Giant Stadium, but I think the number was always around 77,000 was total maxed at Giant Stadium. And at Stanford, we had 78,000. I think we had more at the Rose Bowl, though, when we played Italy, to believe it or not. So I don't know what that number was. But at the time, that the opening game that we had against Costa Rica, we beat them 3-0. Was the largest crowd for soccer in the United States at that time.
And when you close your eyes and the life goes by, does it stop at all over at the Imos, the Junior Cup Championship at the time? I mean, that would like I'm on the top of America, Ma.
Yeah. We just had our 50-year reunion about 2 months ago. Yeah.
Wow.
And we had everybody who was still with us was there. There's two players who are no longer with us, Vince Menendez and Don Abishan. But everybody else was there. My dad, who was an assistant coach, wasn't there, and Fran Rich, who was our head coach, wasn't there. But Dick Westbrook was kind of like our, maybe one of the other assistant coaches, and he was there. So that was a great evening. Yeah, 50 years, McGuire under 19 McGuire Cup champion reunion for Imos Pizza. But interesting, I always want to tell everybody this. So Fran Rich was our coach. And he went on to win 2 more under 19 championships with 2 different Imos teams.
Wow.
So you got to say something about that.
Oh, right? Definitely, baby.
So yeah, I know he won 2. I'm pretty sure they were different teams when he won the other 2. So yeah, he won 3 under 19 McGuire Cup championships, which at that time was the only national junior championship. There was no U16, no U15, it was just, very well. When you went into junior ball, like when you finished 8th grade, you went into junior ball. So you were 14 years old. It didn't matter. You were playing U19. Yeah. That was the only position we had.
You were either playing or sitting on the bench.
There you go. There you go. So Fran Rich, just, again, you talk about, a great accomplishment,
Wow. Right on, man. Man, all of you are some very nice fellas,
Yes.
That's wow.
Ty Keogh was on that team.
Oh, man. Yeah. You go through the list, who's who. Mm-hmm. Wow, baby. Mm-hmm. And that was the thing was when you guys won it, you could have maybe won it a year or 2 before, because at that time, all those teams had to go through St. Louis, and there was 3 or 4 teams that they.
Well, you know who won it the year before?
You're going to tell us.
I'm going to tell you, Florissant Celtics. Don Huber, Larry Hulser, Frank Schuler, Mark Darrow. Matt Crankiola. They won it the year before. And what's crazy about that is when I was 14, we went on a trip to Scotland. So it's a long story. I won't go through the whole thing, but they had a tryout here in St. Louis, and they put a team together to go to the Cow International Boys Tournament over in Scotland. And ended up being those 5 players I just mentioned from Florissant Celtics and 5 players from my Imos team, my brother Gary, myself, Ty Keogh, Greg Stockman, come on, David, Don Abishan. Okay, so we're 5 guys from Imos, 5 guys from the Florissant Celtics, and then they, I think Tony Bellinger actually was playing for the East. There was going to be 2 teams going over, so the one team was the East and one team was Midwest, so that was in 1973, I think. And then I think if I got my years right, then Celtic won McGuire Cup in 74, and then we won it in 75. So,
wow.
And we had to beat them. They beat us the year they went on to win, and then we beat them in the year we went on to win.
Wow.
So, yeah. So we're all still good friends. I see Don Huber and Larry Helser all the time. So
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So.
That big goalkeeper, Lenny Totebush.
Yeah, Lenny Totebush. Yeah.
I never looked at the guy eye to eye.
He was tall.
Yeah.
I don't remember how tall he was. I know he was taller than me.
Yeah.
I know he was taller than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's, I think, retired as a fire chief or something.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I want to thank you so much for allowing us to have a little insight of your fantastic career and to give us, the impetus to get another McGuire Cup winner around this town.
Yeah, we need some. We had a whole bunch back then.
Yeah.
God, even before us, there was Seco and Kudis, and I mean, it was like, if you look at the history of the McGuire Cup, you will find St. Louis all over it. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, and you're right. We need to get back up there.
So
I think Scott Gallagher might have been the last one to win a U19 championship. Yeah.
Right. So it's always here at Whale Certified to say, hey, David, whatever you want to say to who you ever want to say it to for as long as you want to say it for.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I would have gave you a piece of paper if you could follow along, but whatever you want to say to who you ever want to say it to for as long as you want to say it for. Do I have to do it over again?
No. I'm not sure what you're leading to, but
okay.
But if I wanted to say something right today, I just did an interview with a Brazilian film crew that's doing a documentary on Miguel de Lima.
Oh,
and
wow!
If I ever wanted to say anything about thank you, besides Don Popovic believing in me, Miguel de Lima was, is responsible for just about everything that I was ever able to achieve in the sport of soccer. So, I was very, very fortunate to be his student and his friend. And they're doing a documentary on him in Brazil. And Skip Grossman, who's a good friend of Miguel's, was interviewed on Monday, and then I did my interview on Tuesday. So,
beautiful, man.
Yeah. So
that's going to be so great, man. You get the news of when that gets broadcast or whatever. Yeah. I mean, that's a got to see moment.
It'll be in Portuguese, but we'll have to figure out a way to translate it.
Well, tell you, that
thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was like the Cracker Jack, with the nice toy. That was, man, I'm glad I asked you. I had no idea. Man, Miguel de Lima. Wow.
Yeah, what a great man.
Yes, man. You did well under him.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
But to you and the missus and all your wonderful children and friends, the best to you and yours, okay?
All right. Thank you very much, Kevin.
All right, now.